A group of university students decides to go on one last trip before their graduation. 5 very different people, Zeynep, Elif, Baran, Cengiz, and Seda, decide to visit an old abandoned mansion. Each of them has lost something in their lives, or perhaps they are searching for something. Zeynep has always been a logical and calm person. However, the fear within her carries the shadow of losses from her past. The mystery left behind by a relative she lost as a child still follows her. Elif, Zeynep's closest friend, is quick-thinking and brave. Although she appears fearless, she struggles to cope with her inner fears. Elif's family had visited the same mansion years ago, but disappeared without a trace. Since then, Elif has been searching for the lost time and people. Baran is a charismatic and cheerful student. Despite being the center of attention for many, there is a deep emptiness inside him. He tries to escape from the dark memories of his past by living a life full of fun and travel. Cengiz is a quiet and introverted young man. The responsibilities his family places on him have caused him to experience inner conflict. The strange stories about his family's visit to the mansion have inspired him, but they have also heightened his fears. Seda is a practical and intelligent person. Although she didn't want to join the trip, she agrees to go along with her friends to avoid leaving them behind. Despite a feeling telling her not to go, she pushes her fears aside for this journey. After all preparations are complete, the 5 friends head towards the abandoned mansion in the north. Zeynep waits for everything to go smoothly, but she feels something is wrong. As they approach the mansion, they notice there is no one on the road. The people in the village give them strange looks, but no one says anything. The village elders warn them, it's dangerous to go there. However, the young people can't wait any longer to see the mansion they've researched for years. Zeynep's fear never leaves her. While Elif, Baran, and the others excitedly move forward, Zeynep frequently stops to look back. It feels as if something is following her. There is something odd. Outside the village, everything is quiet. The dark shadow of the past still roams these lands. By the time the sun sets, the silhouette of the mansion begins to appear in the distance. Zeynep trembles with a strange feeling. This is an old mansion, long abandoned, and over time, it has become a ruin. The house's windows are broken, and its walls are worn and faded with age. The trees around the house rustle in the wind, but only in Zeynep's ears do they echo. In that moment, everyone shares the same question in their minds. What kind of darkness does this house hide? When they arrive at the mansion, their first impression is of its old and abandoned state. As they enter, there is a mysterious silence in every corner. It feels like this house was once full of life, but now, the walls and furniture inside are filled with forgotten stories of the past. With every step, the darkness deepens in the rooms. When Zeynep enters, she feels a strange coldness in the air of the mansion. As Elif, Baran, and the others move toward the grand hall, Zeynep pauses for a moment and looks at an old mirror on the edge of the room. When she sees her reflection in the mirror, her fear deepens. Because there is someone else in the mirror too. Zeynep, Elif, Baran, Cengiz, and Seda walk slowly toward the mansion as the silence inside merges with the rustling of the wind outside. The mansion's exterior shows the wear and tear of years, bearing traces of lives that once filled it. The windows are almost completely shattered, and the paint on the walls has peeled away in places. The door is slightly ajar, as if it had been waiting for someone to enter. As they step inside, a cold breeze greets them, and a sense that something isn't quite right settles immediately. Zeynep tries to push aside the growing fear within her, while the others eagerly examine their surroundings. The mansion feels frozen in time. Only their footsteps echo in the empty rooms. The rooms are filled with old furniture and abandoned belongings. It feels as if the lives once lived here have been swallowed up by the abandonment and forgetfulness of time. Zeynep's gaze shifts to old photographs, covered in dust, hidden in the corners of the rooms. It's as though she's looking at the same moment in time from the perspective of many different people. those who once lived here, but time has dealt cruelly with them. As they continue inside, a sound, almost like a scream, seems to come from the depths of the house, but no one can figure out what it was. At first, everyone ignores the sound, but Zeynep seems to have heard it, freezing in place with fear. "Is everyone okay?" she asks, her voice trembling. Elif tries to reassure her. "It's just the wind, don't worry." But Zeynep feels that something else is there. She is certain she heard that sound. As they move deeper into the mansion, the group's eyes scan the place for strange occurrences. Zeynep notices something on the wall of one room. Faded, scratched writing that seems to have been left by someone long ago. The words are chilling. "Anyone who stays in this house will never return." The meaning of the writing, combined with the heavy atmosphere of the room, intensifies Zeynep's fear. Seda, more boldly, steps forward and runs her finger along the letters, trying to read the faded ones. But the gaps in the writing seem to convey something more. Upon closer inspection, the letters appear to move on their own. Zeynep squints, staring at the words, which almost seem to come to life right before her eyes. Baran, dismissing the situation with a smile, says, "It's just an old house, Zeynep. You're being paranoid." Yet, despite her attempt to suppress her feelings, Zeynep's fear doesn't subside. Elif, Cengiz, and Seda move further into the room, and Zeynep's attention is drawn to another strange sight. An old mirror hangs on the wall, covered in dust. Zeynep bravely approaches the mirror, but just as she does, she sees the reflection of a woman, not her own. For a moment, she panics, feeling as if the woman's eyes are staring right into hers. But when she looks again, the mirror is empty. Zeynep takes another glance, and once again, she sees only herself. "I'm just tired," she mutters to herself. But deep down, she feels something break within her. A sound from deep within the room, like a door creaking open, reaches their ears. Zeynep and Elif quietly approach the door, unnoticed by the others. When the door slowly opens, the cold air that enters increases Zeynep's growing fear. Cengiz, curious, asks, "What is this place?" But no one answers as the room is completely dark. Suddenly, Zeynep notices a small flicker of light. As they move toward the light, they find an old photograph on the floor. Zeynep sees a familiar name on the photo, Elif. As Elif picks it up, her eyes widen in shock. This photo is mine," Elif says, trying to mask her surprise. "But where did this photo come from?" Zeynep senses that something from Elif's past is starting to surface. The coldness in the room deepens, and it feels as though time has stopped in that moment. At that instant, Zeynep senses something in the mansion is watching them. After a brief moment of silence, the door slams shut again, and everything plunges into darkness. As Zeynep squints and moves forward through the room, she feels as if something is following them. Their bodies are engulfed in the depth of terror, as though they've vanished into its very core. Zeynep, Elif, Baran, Cengiz, and Seda felt their fear grow stronger as they ventured deeper into the darkness. Every corner, every sound, seemed to push them one step further back. As they spent more time in the old house, the sense that time was functioning differently grew stronger. What did the old writings on the wall mean? What was symbolized by the fading reflection in Zeynep's eyes? What secret did the name written on the photo hold about Elif's past? Every question gave rise to another unanswered anxiety. Night had fallen, and the outside air was getting colder. A cold breeze started to seep into the mansion, as if a force within the house was searching for something, trying to touch them. They fell silent for a moment. The loneliness inside reminded them of the lost spirits of those who once lived here. After a brief moment of deep thought, Zeynep spoke. "Is everyone okay?" Cengiz stood up and walked out of a dark room, saying, "Yeah, I just feel a little strange, but I guess that's normal in such an old house." Seda, looking frightened, said, "This place is really starting to bother me." Her hands were trembling. Elif tried to reassure her, saying, "It's just a mental game. We'll stay here a few more hours and stick together until morning." But the trembling in Elif's voice caught Zeynep's attention. As Zeynep watched each of their fears unfold, she felt that something was moving within the mansion. The echoes of hums on the old walls, doors closing on their own, and the wind's whispers. All these seemed like dark shadows in her mind. Her fear merged with the loneliness outside, making her feel that something was watching them at any given moment. As she walked towards a room, Zeynep suddenly stopped in fright. Her reflection in the mirror was staring back at her. But this time, the Zeynep in the mirror wasn't the same as the one she saw in reality. There was an emptiness in her eyes. As she stepped back slowly, her reflection disappeared. But when she took another step, her face reappeared in the mirror. This time, her eyes were staring at her. Zeynep stepped back in terror. Elif, noticing the frightened look on Zeynep's face, approached her. "What happened?" she asked. Zeynep, her voice trembling, replied, "There's something in the mirror, Elif." But when Elif checked the mirror, she saw nothing. "I think we're just really tired, Zeynep," she said, trying to comfort her. Zeynep took a deep breath. Maybe she was just exhausted. Zeynep, Elif, and the others decided to go deeper into the mansion. The feeling inside Zeynep was growing stronger. In those old walls, it wasn't just traces of time, but also a secret that seemed to be hidden. Despite trying to suppress these feelings, a mysterious force continued to surround them. Baran stepped away from the group and walked toward the corner of a room. "There's something here. Come look," he said. When everyone quickly joined him, they noticed an old map on the wall. The map showed the lost rooms and passages within the mansion. On one corner of the map, a symbol with strange markings and ancient writing caught their attention. "What's this?" Seda asked as she carefully examined the symbol. Zeynep felt that familiar fear creeping back. It was as if the map was pulling them somewhere, guiding them towards their subconscious fears. "This map is ancient. It could be a clue for the people who disappeared here," said Cengiz. But Zeynep didn't know where this map would lead them. And while trying to suppress her fear, she said, "We shouldn't follow this." However, her friends were eager to solve the mystery of the map. The group decided to follow the path shown on the map. As they moved through a corridor, they began hearing strange sounds. For a long time, the whispers and hums from the walls continued without stopping. "We're all hearing the same thing, right?" Baran asked, but Cengiz silently looked ahead, saying, "There's something here, something we need to hear." Suddenly, a door beneath the floor slammed shut. Seda and Zeynep jumped in shock at the sound. "Didn't anyone close that door?" Zeynep asked in confusion. But no one responded. The door appeared to be locked, and it wouldn't open. Elif approached the door and began to force it open. As everyone gathered in fear, the floor suddenly started to creak. Then, a deep voice whispered, "Go away!" Zeynep's body froze in fear. At that moment, everything felt like it had escalated into something far more dangerous. Something was watching them, perhaps waiting for them to step into the house. Zeynep tried once again to suppress the fear inside her, but it was too late. As they descended deeper into the mansion, their fears became tangible. With each passing minute, they were beginning to understand more about what had happened here. But in every room, in every corner, it felt as though something was still watching them. The mansion's doors not only locked out the outside world, but also kept the dark secrets of the past hidden. What was the truth? Where would the fears they experienced here lead? Zeynep began to realize something that was becoming more and more obvious. In this house, it wasn't just the ghosts that haunted them, but the dark events of the past that continued to live on. The first encounter with the entity. The darkness of the night continues to envelop them. Zeynep, Elif, Baran, Cengiz, and Seda advance further into the corridor when suddenly a wave of cold air hits their faces. Everyone takes a few steps back, but something is felt. This place is more than just an old mansion. Something existed here before them, and now it seems to have returned. That cold breeze serves as a reminder of the entities that once inhabited this house. Cengiz gathers his courage and steps forward. "We need to look around. There's something here," he says. But in the silence of the moment, Zeynep feels something strange. A sound. A whisper. The first thing she hears is a name being whispered. When Zeynep's name echoes in the darkness, her heart begins to race. "Zeynep." Elif notices that Zeynep is trembling with fear. "What happened?" she asks. Zeynep rubs her cold hands together and says, "There's something here. I'm sure I heard someone." But Elif doesn't understand what she means. Her eyes are wide open in fear. Then, a shadow appears from the end of the corridor. In that instant, everyone's breath is caught. Zeynep takes a step back, while Elif steps forward, calling out, "Who's there?" The shadow moves slowly, as if watching them, but it quickly vanishes, leaving only an echo behind. They silently look at each other. Zeynep, holding her breath, asks, "You saw that shadow, didn't you?" Cengiz nods, saying, "I noticed someone moving, but I couldn't figure out what it was. Maybe it was a reflection or an illusion. I'll admit, everything's really strange here." But the fear within Zeynep doesn't fade. The feeling she had is growing stronger. Yes, something is here. An entity, human, spirit, or ghost. She doesn't know what it is, but that entity is close enough to take a step toward them. Moments later, they hear someone crying. Seda, while trying to find something in a dark room, suddenly falls to the ground and begins to cry. Elif quickly rushes to her. "Seda, what happened?" she asks. Through her tears, Seda whispers, I didn't see anything." Zeynep approaches her and asks, "What didn't you see?" Seda continues to cry. "I saw someone watching me. Inside the walls. Their eyes. Eyes like madness." Seda takes a deep breath, but struggles to explain further. Zeynep tries to make sense of what she's saying, while Cengiz takes a step back and says, "Let's get out of here. This place is definitely not peaceful." However, Zeynep rejects this suggestion. "No, we won't leave until we figure out what this place is. There's something here, a secret, and it's trying to tell us something," she insists. Cengiz doesn't argue, but the concern in his eyes shows that everyone in the group shares the same uneasy feeling. Zeynep and Elif continue to wander through the rooms for a while, searching for something, but with every step, they feel as though time is slipping away from them. The dark secrets of the past deepen the distance between them. The old rooms, though seemingly abandoned long ago, still seem to hold something within. Time feels frozen here, but Zeynep realizes just how deep they need to go. When they open a door to one of the rooms, a sense of sadness envelops them. Zeynep notices a painting hanging on the wall. It's an old landscape, a portrait of a once happy family, but their eyes are blurred, and their faces appear to be fading. When Zeynep closely inspects the painting, she notices that some of the people are more detailed, while others are completely erased. The eyes of some figures seem to have disappeared into the blank spaces of the faded figures. Who were these people? Zeynep reads the old writing at the bottom of the painting. The Red Earth family. It's as if no one remembers them. Why? That night, when Zeynep is left alone in her room, the nightmares begin. For many nights in a row, she starts seeing different things each time. The lost family of the mansion begins to invade Zeynep's dreams. It feels as though they did something to disturb the peace of those who once lived here. One day, Zeynep dreams of all the people in the painting. They look at her and say, "Help us," but Zeynep cannot respond. Slowly, one of their eyes disappears again. the others' gazes open into deep voids. Zeynep wakes up exhausted and on edge. She notices something new on the wall. When she thinks about the painting, the eyes of those faded figures seem to reflect in her own eyes. At that moment, Zeynep realizes that the line between reality and dreams is becoming increasingly blurred. The shadows of the past continue to live in every corner of the house. After the nightmares she experienced that night, Zeynep decides to investigate the mansion's secrets even further. Tonight will not just be Zeynep's confrontation with the darkness and the mysteries of the past. It will be the night that all the group faces these forces together. The mysteries hidden in the mansion's shadow grow darker. Tonight, they will be one step closer to uncovering the lost past. The deeper they go, the greater the fear will grow, and each step will lead them toward an inevitable end. Zeynep wakes up that night with a dreadful insomnia. Her eyes recall the dark rooms, corridors, and secrets of the mansion. The nightmares she had throughout the night echo in her mind during the day. One morning, when she wakes up, she feels somehow lost. It seems like something has gone missing. The emptiness in her mind follows her, even after she wakes up. As Zeynep opens her eyes in a moment of blankness, she feels like she's in a foreign place. There's a strange atmosphere in the room. Something is lost. Something is missing. Zeynep quickly gets up and leaves the room. At that moment, she learns that Elif has also disappeared and was searched for all night. No one knows where Elif, who vanished without a trace during the night, could be. When Cengiz and Baran find out that Elif is missing, they immediately begin searching. However, the dark atmosphere of the mansion seems to pull them into another world. Every corridor ends in another darkness. Slowly, as they search for the lost traces in every corner of the mansion, they encounter a feeling as if faint eyes are following them on the walls. As Zeynep and Baran delve deeper into their search, the secrets in every corner of the old mansion, under the influence of dark entities, tighten around them. With each step they take, not a sound is heard. All around them, there's only a hum. But there's no sound of the river, the rustling of the wind, or the creak of a door somewhere. A suffocating silence surrounds them. Cengiz carefully takes each step in hopes of finding the missing Elif, while Zeynep suddenly feels a strange sensation. Since they left the room, she has noticed that something has changed. Zeynep remembers the night Elif disappeared and everything she saw, and says, "Something is going on here. There's a strange pressure on everyone." Suddenly they hear a noise. It comes from the wall. A faint whisper, like someone clapping their hands. But the strange thing is, the direction of the sound is unclear. They can't figure out where it's coming from. This sound draws them deeper, as if it's some sort of call. When Zeynep forces open the door to a room, she suddenly begins to feel the echoes of the past. At that moment, her eyes catch an old painting. This painting seems like part of her lost family, the first time she's seen it. However, strangely, the painting has been moved and placed on another wall. Everything begins to feel wrong. In that moment, Zeynep unconsciously approaches the painting. A face in the image briefly winks at her. Zeynep tries to step back, but at that moment, a force pulls her back. A cold wind begins to blow from behind this wall, as if something is trying to open a hidden passage. Zeynep senses something moving in the wall. For a moment, she sees traces of something lost among the old furniture. But when she closes and opens her eyes, everything returns to normal. Zeynep's mind blurs the boundaries between the past and the present. Everything she's trying to remember seems to be caught between a dream and reality. The darkness closes in around her once again. Everything begins to gather the dark traces of the past. Zeynep and Baran enter the room where Elif went missing. As they slowly examine every corner of the room, they suddenly find traces of where Elif disappeared. There's an old bookshelf hidden in that room. The bookshelf contains a kind of secret passage. The covers close as if they're hiding the memories of the past. Zeynep opens the book and discovers the deepest secrets of those who once lived here. The pages of the book whisper one by one from ancient times. There's a much deeper meaning behind Elif's disappearance. What happened here isn't just about the secrets of the mansion, but a tragedy shaped by the influence of entities from the past. As Zeynep turns a page, she finds another clue hidden in every word. Her eyes. They had darkened so much, it says. This writing must have a meaning. As Zeynep reads the book more carefully, she believes that the hidden truth behind Elif's disappearance lies in the cursed history of the Kızıl Topraklar family, who once lived in this mansion. Later in the night, Zeynep and Baran decide to go deeper through the secret passage in the room. However, with each step they take, they are led to a darker place. This passage seems to open into another world. But the deeper they go, the more they feel the presence of lost entities. For a moment, a blank space forms in Zeynep's mind. It's filled with such a deep sense of being lost that it becomes difficult to believe anything is real. Zeynep is determined to uncover the secrets behind Elif's disappearance. However, fear surrounds her more with each step. The spirits of the past pull Zeynep one step closer to an even more lost prison. As Zeynep and Baran descend deeper into the mansion, each new discovery pulls them further into the captivity of the past. The secret passageways and vanished room secrets become clearer with each passing moment. Yet, something feels off. The boundaries of time and space in this mansion are beginning to blur. As they follow the ancient writings on the walls, their eyes suddenly begin to believe these inscriptions hold a different meaning. One door follows another, but this door is unlike any they've seen before. Zeynep and Baran notice the locked door inside the old room. Zeynep struggles with the door several times, but it refuses to open. Each time she hears the call in her mind, the door becomes more and more prominent, but she senses that something is missing for the door to open. Pieces of the past seem to have disappeared from Zeynep's mental map. The things she tries to remember begin to merge with the secrets beyond this door. At that moment, memories of the night Cengiz and Elif disappeared begin to awaken in Zeynep's mind. What happened that night feels as if it's hidden behind a veil of mist. As Zeynep tries to recall the details of Elif's disappearance, suddenly a dark call from the past echoes. Zeynep lingers in front of the locked door for a while longer. Her eyes suddenly catch sight of an old, yellowed diary on the wall. The diary seems to be the only trace Elif left behind before she vanished. Zeynep hesitates, then picks up the diary and begins turning its pages. As she reads, she uncovers the truths behind Elif's disappearance. It appears that Elif once made contact with another dimension here. From the writings in the diary, Zeynep gathers the impression that Elif faced a force beyond time itself. In the pages, Zeynep finds traces of the dark magic and rituals practiced by the Red Earth family, the mansion's original owners. This family controlled not only death, but also the doors to the realm of the dead. Elif's last writings describe how she had somehow connected with these portals, and how missing people seemed to get lost within these mysterious passages over time. Suddenly, Zeynep realizes she's sensing the shadows of Elif, lost and wandering in her mind. She begins to remember a dark entity that seemed to hover around Elif before her disappearance, like a creature lost in time, wrapping around her and pulling her into another universe. Zeynep steps back in fear, but still decides to follow Elif's trail. After reading the diary, Zeynep takes a deep breath and turns to Cengiz and Baran, telling them they are about to embark on a new discovery. In that moment, something changes. A breeze, almost like a wind, once again takes hold of them. A distant sound seems to come from beyond. It sounds as though it's coming from the gates of time. Zeynep follows the sound, leading her through the mansion's deepest corridors. Cengiz and Baran follow closely behind. With each step they take, the old stones and arches begin to disappear. Everything becomes increasingly unclear. The boundaries between time and space blur more with each step. Every step seems to signal the opening of a door to another dimension. At that moment, Zeynep feels as though she's walking toward a place beyond time. Zeynep finds herself walking down a passageway that seems to be hers alone. It's the very place where Elif disappeared. In this deep void, she realizes time and memory are slowly dissolving. As she walks through the passage, Zeynep feels as though she's lost in another era. At the end of the passage, a light appears. That light represents a lost memory, an old recollection, or perhaps the key to one of the gates of time. As Zeynep walks toward the light, everything around her becomes more and more indistinct. Her mind slips away into the forgotten corners of time and space. In this deep void, perceiving the truth becomes increasingly difficult. For a moment, Zeynep feels like a being lost between the past and present. In that instant, Elif's lost memories begin to appear in Zeynep's mind. As Zeynep steps into the light, everything suddenly becomes clear. However, the images within that light suggest that everything is merely an illusion. For a moment, Zeynep feels as though she's losing touch with reality. Do the doors in the mansion lead them to another world? This is Zeynep's greatest fear, losing the sense of reality. Finally, as Zeynep approaches the light, she feels time itself tightening around her like a tunnel. The light slowly fades, and Zeynep begins to rediscover the lost reality. Darkness once again envelops them. Zeynep is determined to solve this curse as quickly as possible. However, time itself seems to be closing like a door, and all exits are disappearing. Baran and Cengiz watch as Zeynep heads toward the light, but with every passing second, they realize time is slipping away even further. As Zeynep steps toward one of the gates of time, figures pulled backward by the darkness seem to be ready to take their souls. In that moment, Zeynep realizes something. The gates of time are the meeting point of the past and future. Passing through these gates means making a choice. As she hears the call of the lost memories and spirits, with every step, Zeynep is pulled further into the darkness. Zeynep, Baran, and Cengiz continue their journey deeper into the unknown depths of the mansion as Zeynep takes a step toward the light. As they advance through the passages, everything becomes increasingly strange and inexplicable. With each step, they feel as though they are merging with another world. Zeynep seems to be resisting the very laws of time and space, as the shadows grow more defined, and she feels the presence of foreign beings within them. Zeynep realizes that the path ahead is a dark dead end. The light in the passages fails to become fully clear, leaving only dark silhouettes around them. Baran and Cengiz follow Zeynep's every move, and the shadows of the past leave their mark behind them. Everything grows more ominous, spiritual, and unnerving. Suddenly, Zeynep hears a rustling sound. It seems like whispers from the lost past. A small window begins to appear on the wall in front of her. Through this window, a world bearing the traces of forgotten memories unfolds. In this room, different dimensions, collapsed by time, intertwine. As Zeynep, Baran, and Cengiz approach the window, they feel invisible beings watching them. Zeynep reaches the window and looks inside. The scene before her is completely unfamiliar. Here, she sees the traces of everything that has been lost. As she recalls the night Elif disappeared, every detail, every little moment, replays in her mind. Yet, understanding what Elif's disappearance truly represents becomes increasingly difficult. Zeynep suddenly realizes that those who have gone missing were not just lost physically, they have transitioned through a dimensional portal. As Elif's lost memories surface in Zeynep's mind, she feels the souls of the lost ones trapped in these passages. Suddenly, a voice rises from the shadows. It is one of Zeynep's most terrifying nightmares. "I'm here, Zeynep. Do you truly want to return?" The voice echoes from every corner of the room and fills the space. Zeynep experiences an internal conflict. Between her longing for the past and her desire to free the trapped souls from the lost memories, she must make a choice. The passage offers her this decision, but Zeynep doesn't know what to do. Each step draws her deeper into the abyss. As Zeynep, Baran, and Cengiz approach the gates of time, they sense that everything is starting to go wrong. The shadows suddenly come to life, and rustling sounds begin to quietly emanate from every corner, every space. They are no longer alone in the mansion. Beings like shadows of everything that has been lost in time begin to envelop them. Zeynep, Baran, and Cengiz are drawn toward these beings one by one. For a moment, Zeynep disappears into the dark room. In that instant, she feels as though time has stopped. But suddenly, a light begins to appear. This light seems to be a fusion of lost times and spaces. Zeynep's eyes turn toward the blinding light. She takes one more step, but at that moment, everything disappears once again. Is this light leading them to another world, or is it merely a reflection of the lost souls trapped in time? As Zeynep approaches the light, a deep rustling and whispering rises once more. This sound is like a spell, bending time and space. The closer she gets to the light, the more Zeynep uncovers the source of the hidden magic within the mansion. She realizes that everything lost here is tied to spirits bound by ancient rituals. The spells trap lost souls in this world, imprisoning them in the infinity of time. These rituals are the means through which the gates of time are opened. Determined to find the source of the spell, Zeynep proceeds. From that moment on, the power of the spell offers her both a path and a threat. As she tries to unravel the spell, Baran and Cengiz assist her. However, with every passing minute, they are drawn further into the lost dimensions of time. The passage seems to be closing once again. If the spell is not broken, the gates of time will never open again, and the shadows of lost memories will permanently engulf this world. As Zeynep and her friends combine their strengths to solve the source of the spell, something changes in the mansion. Zeynep faces a coldness she has never felt before. Everything has a limit, and that limit is about to be crossed. Zeynep must make a decision. If the spell is not broken, everything in the mansion will never return to its former state, and the gates of time will close forever. The passage is under immense pressure, and Zeynep must take one final step to reveal all the secrets beyond time. However, each step only leads them further into the abyss. As they rapidly approach the beginning of destruction, a loud explosion echoes through the mansion. In the dark corridors of the mansion, the steps of Zeynep, Baran, and Cengiz echo one final time. The spells and lost memories they left behind draw closer to them as they approach the final points where time bends. When everything converges, Zeynep must make a choice. In her mind, she faces the haunting image of the lost Elif and the echoes of the spirits who left the mansion years ago. All of these fears, uncertainty, and a night filled with despair wait for her decision. Zeynep challenges the dark magic of the past and confronts her own fears. Do you really want to go back? The question echoes again. Zeynep takes a deep breath, deciding to sever all connections to this world. The lost souls are the key to the gates of time. Zeynep takes the final step that will reveal the dark secrets of the past. As Zeynep feels the closing of lost times and souls, Baran and Cengiz stand beside her. Each of them feels trapped between the boundaries of time and space. But at this moment, the dark forces in the mansion reveal themselves once more. Their eyes gleam, and as they merge with the void around them, the world behind the gates of time becomes clearer. Suddenly, Zeynep feels a sense of inner peace. At the point where the past and the lost memories merge with time, an ancient prophecy emerges. The prophecy says that only the brave can pass through this gate. Zeynep realizes that by uncovering the lost times within this infinite universe, she has the power to reveal all the dark secrets of the past. However, there will be a cost. Zeynep must decide whether everything will be destroyed or reborn. In the mansion, everything shakes one last time. At this point, the clash of portals, spells, and dark energies causes time to slowly melt away. Zeynep decides to break the spell, and once again bending time, moves to harness the power of the lost souls. However, there is a price for everything. Zeynep could be trapped forever in a lost time. If the spell isn't properly broken, time and space will merge, and all beings will be trapped in this world. Zeynep faces Baran and Cengiz, and for the last time, she turns to them, bidding them farewell. Before doing so, with inner peace and resolve, she begins to break the spell. Every word brings a new beginning after destruction. Zeynep's last words hasten the bending of time and space. The gates open, the souls are freed, and the dark secrets of the mansion are finally revealed. As the gates open, Zeynep, Baran, and Cengiz move toward the light with the power of the spell. Zeynep realizes that the dark shadows of the past have vanished and that the souls have finally found freedom. Behind the gates of the mansion, as the end and beginning of time merge, Zeynep and her friends step into the world once more. The darkness has prepared the ground for everything to be reborn. Zeynep has finally solved the mystery of the night Elif disappeared and brought back the lost time. However, with everything completed, the mansion's spell is broken. Zeynep and her friends journey through the remnants of an old house, a lost time, and forgotten souls, finding freedom. Nothing left behind reminds them of the old dark secrets. Zeynep, Baran, and Cengiz close the doors to the past with the light. The destructive power of the lost times and souls has once again faded into history. As Zeynep feels that the lost past has become nothing but a memory, everything she left behind becomes a new beginning. In a world where the mansion no longer exists, and the dark forces have been resolved once again, Zeynep and her friends step into a new life. However, Zeynep realizes that a feeling inside her will never disappear. A dark secret will always leave its mark. Though this adventure has ended, what they left behind opens a door for the next unknown journey. And this is not the end of time, but simply a beginning.